some breaking news. Noah Rogers, wide receiver, Ohio State, entered the transfer pool a couple days ago. According to Corey Smith, editor Pack Pride, and others. I'm seeing the reporting done a few different places, but Corey Smith the first on it, at least on my timeline, has Noah Rogers committing to NC State. For those of you that don't know who Noah Rogers is, this is a big gosh darn deal for the NC State football team, and I can only imagine it's not that cheap.
Well, yes.
Going back to his days as a recruit, he was a 4-star, but knocking on the door of 5-star.
Rollsville High School here in Wake County, by the way.
Rollsville High School has some connections to some other players that are on NC State. That's kind of where all the rumblings of this happening started. But he is the 40th ranked recruit in the 2023 recruiting class. So that's the class that just finished their, and many times, redshirt year. Like not like their freshman year in school. They just finished. He was the 40th ranked recruit, the 8th wide receiver in the country, and depending on where you look, either the 1st or 2nd ranked recruit in the state of North Carolina. Out of Rollsville, as you mentioned, had connections to Casey Concepcion as far as they've been friends for a while. Lex Thomas, a backup quarterback for NC State. Tamarcus Cooley, an incoming transfer to NC State. Wes Grimes, an incoming transfer to NC State. I think, right, and this is all literally broke within the last couple of minutes. So, without having the chance to bring up every roster, I think this gives NC State an argument for best wide receiving core in the ACC.
Yeah.
I mean, when you mix in Casey Concepcion, who was everybody's freshman All-American, you put now Noah Rogers, a former top 40 recruit in the country. And by the way, he went to Ohio State, so he preserved his red shirt this past year, but it's not like he was sitting behind scrubs, right? The reason why he wasn't breaking onto the field in Ohio State is because, I don't know if you've heard of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Egbuke and some of the other guys that they have on their roster up there at Ohio State.
You mean first-round picks?
Yeah. I mean, Ohio State, you could argue, had a better wide receiving core than the Panthers.
I would not dispute that.
And Noah Rogers was included in that. This is big. This is big, and it shows the kind of offense that Robert Anae, the offensive coordinator, wants to run for NC State. Last year was his first year as coordinator. There was an element of you have to cook the ingredients that are provided for you, right? They ran an offense that was heavy on quarterback run, that was extremely creative in using Casey Concepcion every different way. They had at times a defensive player pool playing running back just by whatever ingredients you can give me, I'm gonna make an offense out of. Now you look at multiple top 150 recruits in the country coming in this upcoming year at wide receiver. We're talking Paylor, we're talking Anderson. Paylor just had a big day at the Under Armour All-American game. You mix in Wesley Grimes, who was a big recruit last year, went to Wake Forest. After 1 year, he's transferring to NC State. Obviously, there's Casey Concepcion and a few others sticking around. Now Noah Rogers. This is, do you know who's the happiest person on the planet right now?
It's Dave Doeren.
I was going to say Grayson McCall.
Oh, with him too, yes.
Grayson McCall. Dave Doeren has to deal with some stuff on the defensive side. Right, some corners departing the program, replacing Peyton Wilson. Grayson McCall has the quarterback, again, out of the transfer portal, coming from Coastal Carolina, has to be looking around going, this isn't what I had at Coastal, I'll tell you that much.
And to think of this as well, not only the transfers that you mentioned, Casey Concepcion coming back, look at the recruiting class.
Yep.
Jonathan Paylor, who's a running back, wide receiver, 4-star guy. Terrell Anderson from the Triad, 4-star wide receiver. Keenan Jackson that they flipped from UNC, 4-star wide receiver. Like, they're bringing dudes in. They're bringing some dudes in, too.
We're going to see 4 and 5 wide. And all 4 and 5 of those wide receivers that are out there on certain, not every play, but on certain plays, are going to be threats. Matt, Casey Concepcion might be the second happiest guy in Raleigh right now because he's going, yeah, double team me now, right? All those coverages he was saying at the end of last year where, he breaks the huddle and runs to the right and the entire defense is like, he's over here. Now it's going to be, he's over here, but he's over. We'll figure it out. There's going to be less of that because you can't focus on one of them.
How fast can Dave Doeren develop them? That's the question.
They're all young.
That's the thing. All these guys we're talking about, these transfers coming in with the exception of Wesley Grimes, these are all going to be first, second year college players.
Yep.
And by the way, Noah Rogers only played in 2 games this season, so he still has 4 years of eligibility.
Preserved his red shirt. They are young. Third most excited person right now, Cedric Bailey, who was in that same Under Armour All-American game, a quarterback recruit out of Florida that committed to NC State. He's going, all right, fine. Grayson McCall played this year. But if I can get that starting job the next year, many of these guys are still going to be around, and they're going to be really fun to get the ball to. And you know what? I go back to something I've been saying all offseason about NC State. This is efficiency of their transfer mechanism. I don't know what to call it. Their machine, right? From collectives to coaches to player connections to everything kind of mixed together. This is an efficient beast they're working, right? It's we need a quarterback, Grayson McCall, get him on campus. He's committed. It's Casey Concepcion, right after whatever the regular season ends. The day after, or actually the night of the game, post-game, Dave Doeren says, hey, give money to the collectives. 4 days later, boom, inked an agreement between the collective and Casey Concepcion to stay for 2024. Noah Rogers Ohio State played a couple of days ago. It really wasn't that long ago. Noah Rogers was on the sideline in uniform for that game. Now, Thursday of that week, he's committed to NC State. This is an efficient beast of a transfer NIL machine that NC State has fully embraced. And it's funny. Every coach we talked to, we had Braxton Harris, the head coach of brand new head coach of Campbell, on the show yesterday. And I said, hey, modern college football, what's your take on the portal? And he was like, it doesn't matter what my take on the portal is because it's not going anywhere. And it seems like that's what every coach wants to say. Oh, the portal's not going anywhere. It's the new way of the world. That's what it is. It is what it is. And NC State said, well, if everyone agrees it's not going anywhere, let's be the best at using it, right? If everyone agrees this is just how it is now, then if we can't be the best, if you want to say, I don't know, LSU or Florida State or whatever the best, let's be the second best. Let's be as good as we can possibly be at it, and let's get former top 50 recruits on campus and promise them what we can promise them. Noah Rogers and Casey Concepcion, both being obviously Casey Concepcion didn't preserve his red shirt his freshman year, but both being in that same recruiting class, so their second years in college coming up. They might be the best duo in the ACC. Definitely the best duo for their age at wide receiver.